Good morning and welcome to another episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Today's book is going to be on Terry Goodkind's Siege of Stone. This is part of the Nisi Chronicles. Volume 3 specifically, Volume 4 will be out next year from what I understand. So just kind of start by giving you a little bit of background on what the Nisi Chronicles is, or Nikki Chronicles as some might pronounce it. This is part of the Sword of Truth world, which is a series of 15 books by Terry Goodkind, which, by the way, I highly recommend. It is a world that I have really come to love and enjoy. In fact, I even named my kids after some of the characters from the Sword of Truth world. So definitely it is something that I have come to really enjoy and really love. Some of the background on the Nikki Chronicles or Nice Chronicles is Nathan and Nisi have been dispatched throughout the world to spread the news of the Daharan Empire and the freedom and liberty that Lord Rawl has decided needs to be brought to the entire world. Uh, and within this series, Nisi and Nathan have come across the hidden city of Ildikar, which has been hidden behind this shroud of what's called the Shroud of Eternity, which basically hides the city and through powerful magic has taken it out of the world and out of time itself. It's been hidden behind this shroud for 1,500 years, uh, which they did because they were under siege from this massive army, which was petrified and turned to stone through powerful magic as well. But then the city hid themselves away. So the army of General Utros. This stone army, however, has now become human again. They've effectively become unpetrified and are once again seizing the city of Ildikar after the Shroud of Eternity has come down. Now, the thing is, the nobles of this city, they wanted to build this perfect society, or at least what they envisioned as the perfect society. But it wasn't. It was a society run by slaves where the nobles benefit at the expense of everyone else. So people were being hurt, people were downtrodden, they were oppressed. For the nobles, it was great, but for the people who work hard to support the nobles through slavery, and it wasn't great. It was not a good situation, and so there's a massive rebellion within the city. So this kind of picks up there after this rebellion uh, of the underclass or the lower class of Ildikar. Uh, and now they're dealing with the issue of the city now being besieged once again by General Utros's army and having to fight for their very survival. The entire structure of the city has been completely destroyed in terms of its government, its operations. There's nothing left. And so the city is scrambling to reestablish some sense of normalcy uh, out from the chaos while at the same time trying to fight off this stone army which has been come back to life. Uh, so really kind of sets the stage for uh, these people really just fighting for their survival and really just being that looking at getting confronted on all sides, both from within and without, which really sets it up for really good storytelling. Like I think that's kind of a really excellent or great setting uh, to tell some good storytelling within the whole Nisi Chronicle series. But of course, as with most typical Terry Goodkind books, the magical system within his world have it's not simple. It often involves great sacrifice and often can be kind of gory. Like Nathan's story, just an example of that. He had lost his gift, and in order to replace his gift, he must once again seek out and obtain the heart of a wizard. Now, that could be both metaphorical, which he kind of has to learn to be a wizard again, so that he once again can devote his heart and soul to the magic. But that's not quite how Terry Goodkind works. You see, when they say heart of a wizard, he literally means another wizard's heart has to be taken from another person, their heart, and transplanted into Nathan in order to restore his gift. So that kind of thing, that kind of dark magic, where or in magic where powerful magics require blood sacrifice and the blood of the innocents or the blood of nobles or the blood of wizards because it's powerful magic embodied within that. We've got the Fleshmancers, which merge like these wild beasts together to form these formidable warriors. But it always the magic within this series, the magic that is practiced, often involves some kind of blood sacrifice, some kind of killing of somebody or something in order to accomplish this goal. And it's usually those who least deserve it because that within this magic system seems to be the most powerful uh, magic, the most powerful source of magical energy, which fuels the magic. So Terry Goodkind is the way he writes. It could be very dark. It could be very much imbued within his magical system. In fact, that's part of what makes it appealing for me. I think, whatever reason, that idea of this dark arts imbued within the magic is fascinating to me. And the idea of sacrifice of those who least deserve it, bringing about power through the magical system, which is really an awesome part of that. But there's a few things here that really shine through. Now, Terry Goodkind is not without his controversy. He has been known to really imbue political ideology within his writing, and that definitely comes across here. Like within this whole sort of truth series, something I didn't really think about before, but the more I read, the more I read up on Terry Goodkind and the things people are saying about him, the more I could kind of start to see it. And this really kind of puts through this idea of this American exceptionalism and imperialism that we see. Like the idea that the Harran Empire has to spread to bring freedom and liberty to the people of the world by force. You know, we've got the Imperial Army that's marching off to war to liberate people. And to bring them freedom at sword points. So that idea is really strongly emanated within this book series and within the Sword of Truth world in general. And Terry Goodkind certainly paints it as we're the good guys. We are here to bring you freedom, and we are here to spread the good news of the Daharan Empire. But it's always done through war and bloodshed. It always seems to be done through this exceptionalism idea that we are the liberators. We are the ones you should be like. And we're going to take over and bring you into our world of liberty and freedom. Uh, we're not going to just say, "Hey, you should be free," and but rather we're going to use our army to bring that freedom. And definitely the way he writes, definitely he writes in a way that shows that the Daharan Empire and its armies are there to help defend and protect people. He's really good at taking it from that perspective and setting up the story so that it is through the power and might of the Daharan military that people are protected and defended against, and they're taught to protect and defend themselves. But it always seems to come at the cost as part of the Daharan Empire in order for that to happen. So definitely this idea of imperial conquest for the purpose of liberty and freedom is definitely within the book itself, within the whole series actually. And so I can really see how people are feeling that Terry Goodkind is bringing his politics into play when it comes to writing his books. Also, with his writing, of course, that comes with this what you could probably say is sometimes could be a very black and white characterization of the characters. Like the characters are always they are the good guys. They're very confident characters, but a lot of the time, at least with Nisi and Nathan, they don't really seem to ever question themselves. They don't question their motives. They don't question whether they're doing good enough. A lot of the times, at least not to any great extent. And even sometimes there's some hypocrisy within the characters and how they behave. Just an example of that, there's this one scene within this book where the sorceress Nisi, also known as Death's Mistress, as the first title of this particular Nisi Chronicles book goes, she was lecturing a former slave in the city of Ildikar about taking the law into his own hands and how he doesn't get to be judge, jury, and executioner of the noble class, and that they've got bigger things to fight. They've got an army outside who's besieging the city that they need to fight off and defend the city against. And she, in the midst of lecturing this guy, she turns around and acts as judge, jury, and executioner herself, stops his heart and kills him right there. And then just kind of says, anyone else got a problem with this? No, she's there as a representative of Lord Rawl of the Daharan Empire. So she just lectured about not being judge, jury, and executioner while at the same time taking the role of judge, jury, and executioner herself. So it's kind of a hypocrisy within the actions of the character of Nisi as an example there. So overall, I'd say it's definitely something that I'm enjoying. And some of the other controversy I just want to quickly add there, that people may find to be controversial within this book is this idea of there's this character named Bannon. Throughout the series he was captured by the Morizeth, which are basically the city of Ildakar's version of Mord Sith. He was captured, trained, and beaten and trained by him to be a fighter and a warrior for their own entertainment, and the acting like gladiator pits of Age or Omik, where they fight to the death in these massive stadiums. But there's this one scene that kind of talks about how Bannon could not resist her sexual advances, this Morzeth's sexual advances, even if he wanted to, that she could force him against his will. So this idea of him being raped by this Morzeth. So the idea that men being raped by women is present within this book, and while not to like a great extent, it's not a major part, it's just kind of a small part of the book. That idea is there. So that definitely come across as very controversial to some, I'm sure. I'll leave my personal opinion on how controversial that might be out of this video, but this scene or this particular part of the book kind of really speaks to the ideology or the political ideology, the social ideology in Terry Goodkind's writing that many people have found to be problematic from what I've been reading and heard people say about him. So those are just some ideas that where that controversy comes from within Terry Goodkind's writing. But I also kind of appreciate that he's willing to kind of push the limits of the ideology. He's willing to be controversial in his writing, which I think for an author can be a good thing. We definitely, I think it can contribute to better writing overall. Overall, I'd say I'm enjoying this book. I definitely think our characters could use a little less black and white coloring sometimes. But overall, really enjoying the book series. I'm enjoying Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth world, despite any controversy that might be present within his writing. I don't think controversy itself makes for bad writing. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure that you would enjoy it as well, especially if you're a fan of the fantasy sci-fi genres. Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth world is one of my favorite series, for sure, with some of my favorite characters, absolutely. So those are just some of my thoughts on Terry Goodkind's book, Seige of Stone. So thank you so much for watching. I will, of course, have links all to my social media profiles in the description below. Hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please stay tuned. Next up, we're going to be picking up Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. So this is a Red Rising novel, another kind of sci-fi series I've been enjoying. Don't forget to stay tuned, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on the next episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Hope you have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching.